Okay, this is going to be a homework walkthrough for chapter 12, um, chapter 14-1. Sorry, it's week 12, chapter 14-1 homework. We'll start with question 1. You have just been hired as a financial analyst for Lidex Company, a manufacturer of safety helmets. Your boss has asked you to perform a comprehensive analysis of the company's financial statements, including comparing Lidex's performance to its major competitors. The company's financial statements for the last 2 years are as follows. So I have just input all of the data that they gave me for the balance sheet for this year and last year, and for the income statement and reconciliation for this year and last year. Okay, what they want me to do is present the balance sheet in common size format and then do the income statement in common size format down through net income. So this is a fairly simple process for each. So let's just deal with the assets first. So to get this down to common size, that's going to be in a percentage. And so that's going to equal this year's cash divided by this year's total assets. Oh, whoops. I don't know what happened. I think Excel was trying to help me, and that's not what I wanted it to do. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, so 5.4% is the common size for this year's cash compared to total assets. Now, if I believe it's this one, if I anchor the cell that has the total assets, then I can drag this formula down and it will do each one of these. So like if I look at this one, it's going to be the inventory divided by total assets. And so total assets is 100%, and then each of these is a portion. And this just tells us what percent of that total is each individual item. Okay, so now I need to do the same thing for last year. So I'm going to equals last year's cash divided by last year's total assets, and I'm going to anchor that cell so that I can drag the formula. And again, so helpful. Excel just thinks it knows what I want it to do, but that's not what I want it to do. Okay, I do want it to go this far though, because we're just dealing with the assets at this point, right? So this is 100% because it's this number divided by itself, so it's 100%. So for each line, again, it's going to be that line divided by total assets. So that's the first part. Okay. Now let's just deal with the current liabilities. So all of the ones in current liabilities and retained earnings, this is what's going to be 100% total liabilities and stockholder equity. So all of these numbers will be individually divided by the total for whichever year they are in. So this one equals current liabilities divided by total liabilities and equity. I'm going to anchor that cell. Let's see what Excel does to me this time. So I'm going to delete that one because there's no data in that one. Okay. So each one is just the number for total stockholders' equity this year divided by the total liabilities and stockholders' equity for this year. And so again, each of them, and I believe you're supposed to round to 1 decimal point in a percentage. So last year would be last year's current liabilities divided by last year's total liabilities and stockholders' equity. I will again anchor that cell and then drag that down. All right, and so these are the numbers you input into McGraw-Hill for the answers for required one. All of the stuff for the balance sheet for both years. Okay, now for the income statement for required two, we only need to go down to net income. We don't have to go all the way down. So for the income statement to get it into common size, everything will be divided by the total sales. And so this equals this year's total sales divided by this year's total sales. Only I'm going to anchor that second one, maybe. Not. Huh. It's not what I wanted it to do. Let's try that again. Equals cost of goods sold divided by this year's total sales. Anchor that cell. Okay, that. And then I just need to go down to net income. So as you can see, each of these is just that line item divided by total sales and gives you a percent to one decimal place. So we'll do this for last year. What I wanted Excel to do. So the cost of goods sold divided by total sales for the last year. I'm going to anchor that. Okay. Drag that one down. Okay. So that is required too. So from sales down to excuse me, net income. And you just input those percents and remember to round to one decimal point. And that is everything for question one. All right, question two. Rotorua Products Limited of New Zealand markets agricultural products for the growing Asian consumer market. The company's current assets, current liabilities, and sales over the last 5 years, year 5 is the most recent year, are as follows. So they gave me all that data, and I just simply typed all that data in to my Excel document so I can reference it. Express all of the assets, liability, and sales data in trend percentages. Use year 1 as the base year. Round your percentage answers to one decimal place, just like last time. Okay, so when they say year 1 is the base year, that means year 1 is 100%. So equals year 1 sales divided by year 1 sales, and that gives me 100%. And so I'm going to drag that formula down because each of those line items, cash, accounts receivable, inventory, total current assets, and current liabilities, all of them, that's your base year. So it's 100%. Now you take each consecutive year and take the total sales divided by year 1's total sales. And I'm going to anchor whoops, that was not the right thing. I'm going to anchor year 1's total sales. And that way I can drag that formula across. And so these are going to be more than 100%, right? Because year 2 sales are more than 100% of year 1. And so just remember to round correctly for your percentage. And so again, each of these is that year's sales divided by year one sales. And we're going to do this on every line. So for cash, it's going to equal year two cash divided by year one cash. And I'm going to anchor that cell so I can drag the formula and make Excel do the work for me. So as long as I haven't made any typos up here, I will be coming up with correct information here. So again, equals year two accounts receivable divided by year one accounts receivable. Anchor that cell. And these are the percentages that you fill into your McGraw-Hill work. So equals year two inventory formula cost equals year two total current assets divided by year one total current assets. Anchor the cell, drag it across, and then current liabilities, year two current liabilities divided by year one current liabilities, anchored, and then drag that across. And so that's, you input these percentages into your homework, remembering to round to one decimal place. All right, that is it for question 2. Question 3. Comparative financial statements for Weller Corporation, a merchandising company for the year ending December 31st appear below. The company did not issue any new common stock during the year. A total of 500,000 shares of common stock were outstanding. The interest rate on the bond payable was 10%. The income tax rate was 40%, and the dividend per share of common stock was 75 cents last year and 40 cents this year. The market value of the company's common stock at the end of the year was $29. All of the company's sales are on account. Okay, so that's important. Okay, so this is just the balance sheet that they gave me and the income statement that they gave me. Now here's the required. Compute the following financial data and ratios for this year. So number 1 is working capital, and we round the answer in thousands. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to point out. These are in dollars in thousands. So when they said there's 500 shares of common stock, and I mean 500,000, and then they gave us the number 500. Anyway, it's in thousands. So they took off 3 zeros off of everything. So we're just going to take the numbers they gave us, which the definition or the formula for working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So current total, and it's for this year, I believe. Yes. So I'm only dealing with numbers this year. So that's my first column. So total current assets minus total current liabilities right there. And that is working capital. Current assets minus current liabilities. All right, current ratio, that is current assets divided by current liabilities. So working with the same numbers, current assets divided by current liabilities. And remember to choose the ones in this year. Okay, and they want that rounded to 2 decimal places. So this one was rounded in thousands. This one's rounded to 2 decimal places. Acid test ratio is also rounded to 2 decimal places. So acid test ratio is current cash plus marketable securities, which for this problem, we don't have any, plus total accounts receivable. So I'm going to take, oh, and then divide by current liabilities. So current cash plus accounts receivable. So I'm going to put parentheses and I'm going to go with this year's cash plus this year's accounts receivable, close parentheses, divided by total current liabilities. So cash plus accounts receivable divided by total current liabilities. And if you're typing it into Excel, remember to put parentheses or you'll get the wrong answer. And so that's my acid test ratio. And that is all for question 3. So question 4, comparative financial statement for Rolla Corporation and merchandising. I believe this is all the same data from the last question, but now they're asking us for some different information. They're going to ask us for, let's see, what are they asking us for? So they want, we're again working with the numbers in this year. We're going to do accounts receivable turnover, average collection period, inventory turnover, average sale period, operation cycle, and total asset turnover. Now, several of these, we need an average. We need an average accounts receivable. We're going to need an average inventory, and we're going to need average total assets. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to compute some averages just really quick for my own, to make it quicker. And so to compute the average, you take equals, and I'm going to put parentheses, you take this year plus last year, close parentheses, divided by 2. That's not what I want to do. So I love Excel. It did it for me for all of them, which really wasn't what I wanted. I just need it for accounts receivable. So it's this year plus last year divided by 2. Inventory, this year plus last year divided by 2, because right, we're finding the average. And then total assets, this year plus last year divided by 2. And you don't have to do this ahead of time, but because I'm doing it at Excel, I'm going to. So equals this year plus last year, close parentheses, divide by 2. So I have the average sales. Okay, I think those are all the ones I need. So required 1, accounts receivable turnover is sales on account for this year divided by average accounts receivable balance. So we're going to go equals sales on account for this year divided by average accounts receivable. So for mine, it's 9.50 days, round to 2 decimal places. Or no, 9.50. Okay, average collection period is equals 365 divided by the accounts receivable turnover, which was the answer to required 1. Now, inventory turnover, round your answer to 2 decimal places, equals cost of goods sold for this year divided by average inventory. Right there. So there's my average inventory that I figured out. Okay, average sale period equals 365 divided by inventory turnover, which was the answer to required 3. Okay, operation cycle is equal to the average collection period, which was the answer to required 2, plus the answer to required 4, the average sale period. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so it's the average sale period plus the average collection period is your operation cycle. And then my total asset turnover equals sales for this year divided by average total assets. So there's my total assets, there's my average that I figured out, and my total asset turnover is 1. And so that is how you do question 4.